Today we have the story of the Good Samaritan. It's only in the Gospel of Luke. Luke is the only Gospel with the Good Samaritan. What you have is a little bit of background, and the story in the background is that you have the Samaritans. The Samaritans were those who were people when Solomon had died and his son took over. Instead of easing up on the people because the people wanted to be to stop, some of the building programs that Solomon did, instead of listening to those who had sense, who were good counselors, he instead listened to his friends who were, let's just say, not very bright, and said that if you thought Solomon was bad, I'm going to be worse. The 10 tribes of the northern kingdom of Israel said no thank you, and they split off. So then what happened is in 723, the Assyrians came in, took over the northern kingdom of Israel, did not completely take over the kingdom of Judah, but they took over the northern kingdom of Israel. What they did was that they sent people into the land from Assyria. They intermixed with the Israelites who were there. They also sent many away from the land. They became the lost tribes. They then were going to teach them Assyrian religion, but there were many lion attacks, and the king thought, the God that's there in Israel must have some territorial power. So what he did was he sent the priests there to teach the people, kind of an admixture of Assyrian and Israelite religion. There was a period of hundreds of years of hatred. By the time Jesus comes, it's tit for tat, many years of hatred. The priest was the one who, if he touched a dead body, would be ceremonially unclean. Same too with the Levite, but you can kind of try to make a case for the priest, because after all, he's the one who's doing the actual sacrifices, but you can very difficult to make a case for the Levite to walk by. But the Samaritan was the one who helped. So you have the person who comes to Jesus, and he said, okay, how would you sum up the law? So there were two ways of summing up the law at the time. There was, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and your neighbor as yourself. That's one camp. And the other camp was, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and keep the Sabbath day holy. So which camp? So he's testing them. Which camp are you in? Then he says, in trying to justify himself, he says, who's my neighbor? Well, again, you can have testing as a kind of a gotcha, or you can have testing in, I'm really interested in what you have to say. Who is my neighbor? Because there was all kinds of concerns about who is the neighbor. How far do you have to bring your neighborly abilities and your mercy to? Is it just to the Israelites? Is it how far do you have to go? So he says, well, who is my neighbor? And then he has the story of the man who's going down from Jerusalem to Jericho. It is, Jerusalem is on a plateau, so it's about 2,400 feet above sea level. Within less than 25 miles, it goes down to around 800 feet below sea level. So there were, but it's not straight down like a roller coaster. It is, has different hills, but even the hills themselves, as they're going down to Jericho, can be below sea level. So it's kind of freaky thinking, that you have this hill that's like 200, 300 feet high, but yet that's below sea level still. So, but again, many places for a robber to hide. So the priest walks by, the Levite walks by, the Samaritan is the one who picks him up, takes him on the donkey, says to the innkeeper, take care of him. This is a coin. If he needs more, I'll come back and I'll pay whatever I need. So who is the neighbor? And the person asking doesn't say the Samaritan. He said the one who shows mercy. So Jesus says, well, go and do likewise. So you have a story of, okay, well, would you sum up the law? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Your neighbor is yourself. Well, who is my neighbor? Basically everyone is my neighbor. So you can have that particular point of view with this particular gospel. The other one that you can take a look at is, and many of the early church fathers took a look at it, is that the Samaritan, the hated Samaritan, the Samaritan who was, the little bit of admixture of Israelite and Syrian. They still exist today, about 1,000 worldwide, mainly around Mount Gerizim in Israel. But again, you have this idea of this hated Samaritan, that Jesus identifies himself with that Samaritan. Because one of the things about it is that the person comes down, he's beaten, he's bruised. Really, that is our lot. We're trying to do our things in our own way. We're trying to find love in all the wrong places. We're trying to get, self-actualized and all these kinds of things, and we're not able to do it. All we do is getting beaten and bruised. And so what it is that it's Jesus himself who comes to our aid, comes to our rescue, and brings us to the point of healing. So it can be looked at in two ways. It can be looked at as, okay, love the Lord your God, heart, soul, strength, neighbor as yourself, who is my neighbor, everyone, but also looking at Jesus himself as the one who is that Samaritan, the one who takes us when we're bruised, when we're beaten, when we're discouraged by the sins in our lives. He's the one who takes us, who heals us, who brings us strength, and sets us on our way. So it can. This gospel has this kind of two kind of meanings, and so a very interesting gospel and a very important gospel. Thanks. God bless.